Today we're going to have a look at the very basics of integers. In other words, if you're just starting out on your integer journey, this would be a good video for you to watch to understand how this set of numbers fits in with the other sets of numbers that you've already learned. So if we go right back to when you first started learning about numbers, the first set of numbers you learnt about were the natural numbers, and the symbol for the natural numbers is an N with a double stripe on the left hand side. And another word for natural numbers is counting numbers, because it's natural to start counting from 1. If you think about it, if you're counting objects, you're never going to start with your first object that you count on any other number except 1. So that's the way to remember that natural numbers start from 1, they go up in ones. If we want to list the natural numbers, technically we only have to list 3 of them to show the sequence that they're going in, and then we can put dot, 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 close our curly brackets to show that they go to infinity. Then, once you'd learned that, you were introduced to another set of numbers that was called whole numbers, and the symbol is the same as the natural number symbol, except it's got a little 0 next to it, because it's exactly the same as the natural numbers, except it doesn't start at 1, it starts at 0, and then it also continues in ones all the way up to positive infinity. Now we're going to look at a set of numbers that extends a little bit further, and that set of numbers is called integers, and the symbol for integers is a Z with a double stripe on the diagonal. And now we've got a whole new concept happening. All these numbers are actually positive numbers, and we're now going to be introduced to negative numbers. So I'm going to start at the 0 that we're so used to, and we know that 0, 1, 2 leads us up to positive infinity. But the numbers are going in the opposite direction in exactly the same way. So before 0, I actually have -1. Before -1, I have -2. And that goes all the way down to negative infinity. So that is how we would list the set of integers. To understand this set of integers better, we can have a look at them on a number line. And as you can see here on the number line, I've got 0. And then the number line is also showing that it's going on forever with an arrow at the end to show that it goes to positive infinity on the right hand side, and on the left hand side it's going to negative infinity. So we're going to use this number line now to start seeing how we can do calculations with integers. Also another useful thing that will come in handy in future videos, I always think of the 0. The 0 is neutral. It's neither positive nor negative, and I always think of it as a mirror, because if we look at where positive 2 is placed on the number line, negative 2 is placed exactly the same distance away, but on the opposite side. So any positive number you go to, you'll see that its negative counterpart is on the other side of the number line, equidistant from the 0. So let's have a look at how this is going to work. And we're going to start off with some very simple examples. And what we're going to do today is we're going to work everything out on the number line so that you can just get a feel for integers. And then in the next video, I'll teach you how to work without a number line. So if we have 4 minus 7, then we have to start at the position of the first number, which is 4. If the 4 hasn't got a sign in front of it, it automatically means positive 4. In other words, think of it as the normal 4 that you've always worked with. So that is over there. If I'm subtracting something, think of subtraction in all the sums you've done all your lives. When you're subtracting, you end up with an answer that is smaller than the original thing that you worked with. So when we're subtracting, we're expecting a smaller answer. So we're going to be jumping to the left, where the further left we go, the smaller the value of the numbers. And the further to the right we go, the greater the value of the numbers. So if I'm starting at 4 and subtracting 7, I'm going to go 1 jump, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I'm going to end up on -3. Let's have a look at negative 3 plus 5. So again, I'm going to start at the number that occurs first, and this time there is a sign in front of it saying negative, so it's definitely a negative number, which is negative 3 over there. I'm adding, so I have to go towards the right, and I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 jumps and land on 2. I can write positive 2, or I can just write 2. So if you see a 2 or a positive 2, just understand that they mean the same thing, and it is that 2 on the number line. I could have negative 2 minus 8. So I need to start at negative 2, and because I'm subtracting, I'm expecting a smaller value, so I need to jump to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I've landed on negative 10. What about negative 8 plus 7? I'm going to start at negative 8. I have to jump to the right because it's adding, and my value of my answer is going to be bigger than the number that I started with. So from negative 8, be very careful that you count the first jump and you don't count on the negative 8. So when people are struggling with that, I tell them to say this: 1 jump, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I've landed on negative 1. Let's look at 2 minus 10. So if it just says 2, what is it meaning? Remember, 2 means positive 2, so that will be on the positive side of the number line, and I've got to subtract 10, so I'm doing 1 jump, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I'm landing on negative 8. Let's look at negative 3 minus 6. This time again, I'm starting on the negative side of the number line at negative 3. If I'm subtracting, I jump to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I've landed on negative 9. Let's do 2 more just to end off. Negative 1 plus 6. Where must I start? At the first number. So negative 1, remember to count the jumps. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We jump to the right because it said plus, and we've landed on 5. Negative 8 plus 4. I'm starting on negative 8. There's my 0. Negative 8 is down the left hand side of the number line. I have to add 4, so I'm going to jump 4 times to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm landing up on negative 4. Let's just speak a little bit before we end off about how to really understand what's going on with positive and negative numbers. So all of us in our lives have to deal with money. So everybody understands money. So in terms of money, 0 means you have no money and you don't owe anybody any money. If you're lucky enough to have 10, you might have $10, 10 euros, 10 rands, 10 pounds, whatever currency you're working in. You've got 10 of them and you don't owe anybody money. If you're sitting on negative 6, it means that you have no money and you've had to borrow 6 pounds, 6 euros, $6, 6 rands from somebody. So here you are in debt. You owe nothing and you owe 6. So that's probably the best way to think of integers. Another one that we're quite familiar with is temperature. So as long as our temperature is above 0, as long as our temperature is in the positives, we're fairly comfortable. As soon as it drops below 0, we've heard of temperatures of negative 3 degrees, negative 7 degrees, then we're needing to put on all the winter woolies. This is a very, very basic introduction to integers, and there are going to be a series of videos following, so please look out for them.